Hello everyone, this is Andrew and Anna, and we just want to say thank you guys so much for being a part of us being in Papua New Guinea. And as of last month, we have been in Papua New Guinea for an entire year. So we want to take the time to share a video on just what has happened in the last year and what the Lord's done in our lives.
So one of the first things that I had to do when we first got to Papua New Guinea was learn Pidgin. And at first we had classes that those of us who were new would go and listen to a teacher and practice saying things. And they even had organized activities for us to learn how to do various things like washing laundry in the river and things like that. But after that finished, that did not get me to the point where I needed to be able to function well in Papua New Guinea. And so after that, they released me to go ahead and just learn it on my own. And that was a bit challenging for me because I definitely prefer a structured setting. But praise the Lord, we got through it. In October, I checked out of language study. And I can definitely hold my own in conversations, although I'm definitely far from perfect. But during that time, one of the things that really helped me to learn how to speak Pidgin was we hired a lady to come sit with me and just talk to me about her day. What were things that happened during her day? And I could ask her questions about how she said things or try to respond with what happened in my day, and we would just go back and forth that way. And this lady's name was Samila. You might have heard me talk a little bit about her in our other updates. She's become a friend, and her mom also works inside our fence here. And once they figured out that we had been going to a church locally, they asked if they could join us. And so it started off with Samila and her mom and Samila's two daughters. And then it's kind of grown since then to being anywhere from a couple people to 9 people coming with us every Sunday to church. And I'll tell you a little bit about the church that we go to. So the name of it is Makia Baptist Church. It's a church that Andrew's parents have been working with for a while now. And so there are some baby believers, there's a national pastor leading it, and there's most likely some unsaved people that go there as well. And when we first started going, we would meet under this really sad looking tarp. It had like a bunch of holes in it and would gather water in certain parts. And so halfway through a service, like water would just capsize and go all over someone. And this tarp was held up by bamboo poles. But it was just really sweet to be able to meet with this group of believers, and they are super welcoming to us. And now we've moved to a different location, but we still had the privilege of being able to meet with them each week and even see their first baptisms, and their first communion just happened on Easter this year. So that was really cool to be part of and to see how God is teaching them and moving in their lives, and to even have Samila and her family a part of that. We brought this family back to our house after the service, and we were eating with them and enjoying just some time talking, and Samila's mom was asking some really good questions about baptism, and if you've already gotten baptized, then is it a sin to get baptized again, or what does it really mean, and asking questions about communion. So those are really good opportunities. We don't know where they're at spiritually, but we just continue praying for them that God would just make His word and Himself very clear to them. In addition to just going to church on Sundays, throughout the week, I am busy with a couple of different ministries. One of them is I work with the first grade class, and I was asked to be part of this pretty soon, I think when I was still in language study. A teacher needed a hand keeping students moving along in their work during the mornings while she was meeting with them one-on-one to hear them say their verses or to hear them read their stories or whatever it was. And so I've had the opportunity to work with these little kids, and it's been really nice because otherwise I don't know that I would ever get to know them. And some of them have some learning difficulties. And so one of the highlights is actually being able to work with them and to see them. And I mean, there's been a couple times where I'm trying to explain something, and I ask them, okay, so what do you think the answer is? And I'm just thinking in my head, oh man, like, I don't know if they get it. And then they just come out with like the exact right thing, and it's so exciting. And to see that these kids are improving and growing, that's a blessing. And then 3 days a week, I also help out in the clinic as a nurse. And some of you might remember that I was a little bit intimidated to work as a nurse here. But I always said that if God wanted me to do it, then I'd be willing to do it. And so after a lot of prayer, conversations with Andrew, I've decided to give the clinic a try, and it's going really well so far. I'm so thankful. I'm learning a ton. I'm working with x-rays and taking blood and running the tests for the blood and all sorts of things. But the clinic has just shown me that working in there, working with the one doctor that we have and the handful of nurses, that, man, there's really a lot of different things that come our way. We're servicing all of our missionaries, that's bush missionaries, missionaries here in town. And there's just lots of weird things that come, and if you didn't have a doctor there or nurses to help out, then it would be a lot more difficult for these missionaries to get the help that they need. And they might have to go to the capital and a very expensive trip there, or go to even to Australia at times, just for something that we could handle here. And so it's been really cool to get to know these different things, to grow in my nursing abilities. And I still have a long way to go, but I'm slowly becoming more and more useful in that area.
So my transition to coming back to Papua New Guinea in this last year was a little bit different. One of the things being language learning wasn't as big of a deal. I was able to check out within 2 weeks. A lot of the Pidgin I was able to remember from growing up here. There's a few little things here and there that I got to be refreshed on. But that went really well, and I was able to accomplish that really quickly, which then allowed for me to go work at the airport and start the process of getting my pilot's license in Papua New Guinea, taking all the tests, and by God's grace, that all went well. I passed. I was able to do a lot of training with, we have one instructor here right now, and he's been extremely helpful. He's been flying in Papua New Guinea for a little over 10 years and has a lot of information and skills and just wisdom to pass on to me, and he's been doing a great job. And yeah, with his help, I was able to solo and fly by myself in December, this last December 2022. And then from then on, I've been working on the process of getting checked out at different airstrips. So we shared a video last time that kind of talked about how each individual airstrip we need to get checked out on and kind of learn the unique features and just the approaches and all that go into that. And yeah, so we've been working on that now for getting checked out at different runways, and by God's grace, he's enabled me to get checked out at over 30 different airstrips at this point, and we're continuing to grow those. Hopefully tomorrow I'll even check off another one. But that just enables me to fly by myself without an instructor to go and help missionaries and go do these flights and actually be a blessing and not a burden by being an extra training flight, but actually being a useful line pilot. And so we're excited that I'm transitioning into becoming a useful full-time line pilot. And it's been really cool. We've been able to do a lot of things. One of the places I got checked out to is Yifki. And Yifki is a place that has a church already established. It's actually been established for quite some time. And I was able to fly by myself with the missionary there the day after they got the New Testament approved for the final edits. So they brought some national believers. I flew them out to where we live. And then they, with the missionary and some other missionaries that have been on the field for a long time, went through the last bits of the New Testament that they had translated. And they approved it, that the check was good, that the content was good, and it's now being forwarded to the last edits, adding pictures and stuff like that, and then be put into a book so that the Yifki people will have the New Testament, complete New Testament for the first time. So it's been really cool to be part of that process. But then also, while we're flying into Yifki, they're also building a school. And so they currently have a school running, and they're trying to they've built 2 buildings, they're in the process of building a 3rd, and our airplanes are what's bringing in all the supplies to build the buildings, as well as the equipment and all the things needed to run this school. And it's really neat to see them really pour into this school so that, yes, the kids can have an education that will benefit them physically in this world, but to also have an education that has a biblical perspective. So they can, from the very young age, instead of, Yifki is a very violent tribe. Some of the stories that I hear from just their culture is very violent, very demonic. does not line up with Scripture at all. And yet now these kids have the opportunity to be brought up in a completely different environment, being taught completely different truths. And what's really actually exciting is also we're flying in these teachers, and these teachers are from the Bible college that my parents work at. And so it's really cool to even partner with them, that they're training teachers, Christian teachers. I'm getting able to fly them in, and they're being able to minister to the Yifki people. And so it's just been a really cool process to be part of that. We're excited that you guys, along with us, are doing this to make that happen. We're also working in the islands, and I've been able to get checked out in the islands, where I've been flying supplies for a new missionary for the first time, going into a new people group, the Mamusi. There are some believers there, but they need discipleship. And so we've been flying in supplies so they can build their house. And hopefully this year they'll be moving in there and starting ministry with those people, which is really exciting. And then also what was really neat for me to see was my very first solo flight. I flew a family and a single lady to Mbunti. And so I flew them there. It was my very first solo flight. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but they were great. And they went into the swampy areas of the Sepik. And from there, so I dropped them off at Mbunti. They take a boat, they go upriver, and they go to the Pei people. And that's where they've been working to build a church, disciple believers there. Well, a week ago, they were coming out for a break. And so I was able to take them in back in December, and I was also flew by myself to go pick them up. However, unfortunately for them, both of our days did not go as planned. So when they left right as the sun came up, got on a boat, and we're supposed to take this boat and get to the airstrip around 10:30 in the morning. I was about to take off at 10 to go pick them up, 25-minute flight, and we get a message from a satellite, Garmin in reach, that says, "Don't come, our boat motor broke, we're dead in the water, and we're just drifting downstream. Hopefully we'll make it to the next village, and we'll try to get another boat motor." So I reshuffled my schedule. I flew somewhere else first, came back, got back, and they said, "Okay, you can go off to Mbunti. They should be there." So I go to Mbunti, and what's actually ironic was I had an airplane with brand new boat motors inside the airplane. That's what I flew out for them. But I got there, and nobody's there. And so I'm looking around, I'm asking the people, "Hey, have you seen any white people?" Like, they stand out pretty well in this bush location. And everyone's like, "No, we have no idea where they are." Finally, a boat coming up the water, and there's some white people waving, extremely excited to see me. And so they get out of the boat. I'm like, "What happened? I thought you guys were supposed to be here waiting for me." And so what happened was they drifted down, got a new boat motor, put it on, it broke. So then they took that one off, got another one, put that on, it broke, but they were finally able to fix it. Now by 3:30 in the afternoon, they showed up at this airstrip. And so they had been on the water since basically the sunlight came up to 3:30 in the afternoon in these boats that kept breaking on them. No shade, in the sun. They were just so glad to see that airplane and know that we're 25 minutes from hot shower, hot food, normal toilet, out of the swamps. And so they were just so appreciative, and it was really cool to be there for them and help them in that way. And we just want to say thank you, because you guys partnering with us are what's enabling that airplane to be there and for us to be there to help those people. And it is really, we're enjoying the ministry. We're excited to be here, and we're excited for the progress. And so yeah, we just want to say thank you so much for just being a part of this and allowing us to be here doing this ministry.